Awesome. Welcome, everyone. So good to see all you early birds here. Hope you're enjoying the tuning in from wherever you are today. Jump in the chat and let us know where you are listening in from. It is an absolutely miserable day here in Brisbane, but that's okay. We're here, we're excited. Really excited to be presenting this webinar to you today. Nearly 1,000 of you have registered to attend, which is phenomenal. It's great to see so many of you jumping in and getting involved. I know everyone's super busy, but we really appreciate your time, and there's so much good content today. So I've got my notebook and my coffee. I hope you've got the same. There's going to be a lot of takeaways, and there's a lot we're going to cram into the next hour of content. So great to see you all here. Jump in the chat. A few of you have already done that. Just a few housekeeping things before we get cracking into the content. Make sure you check the to box in the Zoom panel there and select everyone so that you're chatting with everyone in the webinar today. Please use the Q&A function. We'd love to answer your questions as we go. This session is being recorded as well, and you get all the resources in a sweet, tidy little email following the session today. So it is super exciting. I'm going to kill the Corey Wong for now and get stuck into the agenda. We've got so much to cover today, so thank you for joining us. And we're really excited to have our friends at Change GPS joining the session today. So before I hand over to them to introduce themselves, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Dave and Tim for joining us today and sharing this amazing content that they've been speaking about for a long time now, but it's clearly resonating again because there's so many of you tuning in this morning. So Dave and Tim are going to be sharing about their Vpp method and how to communicate value using their various templates and strategies there specifically for tax planning advice. We'll be talking about a framework to price, engage for, and deliver tax planning, how to develop an ongoing cycle of engagement and advice, how to bring everything together to de-risk your practice. I'm really excited to be hosting this today and can't wait to get cracking into the content. Well, I thought we might just kick off and answer a bit of a question here and maybe highlight, I guess, the power of this accounting community. And I just wanted to call out about 6 or 8 weeks ago, the GPS team really rallied the accounting industry together around the Section 100A announcement. And they had over 5,000 accountants in practice register for their webinar. I think it almost reached over 10,000 in total, Dave was telling me the other day, with over 10 service providers in the industry. And from that, they were able to rally the entire industry and put together a submission handed to the local MP, even before some of the industry bodies in the accounting space were able to do so. And it was just an amazing example of the power of community and what can happen when we all get behind this message to help you guys on the front line. So with that in view, we're talking about this topic of tax planning today, and this is the start of a really exciting partnership with the two of us to be bringing some really valuable content to the industry and trying to solve some key problems that we're seeing across our customers in the broader space. So thank you all. You've all played a huge part in that. And the evidence is that so many of you have joined us in today, which is great. So without further ado, throw on your cameras, guys. I'm going to introduce our all-star panel today. Rebecca Mihalic, you and I have done, gosh, I don't know how many webinars now, over 100 at least in the last 18 months. Thank you for joining us again. Tim, thank you for joining us, a fellow Brisbaneite. It's great to see you here today. Dave, also a Brisbaneite, recently converted from Victoria. Welcome again, mate. It's great to have you here. I'm going to pass over to you, Dave, to give a bit of a brief intro to yourself, particularly to those who haven't met you before, who are here from the Ignition community.
Thanks so much, Ethan. It's so good to be here with the Ignition community. We're sharing a shared passion for the love of accountants and making sure you engage better and earn more money. I fundamentally don't believe accountants earn enough or charge enough. I've done a lot in the accounting industry. I sent Ethan my slides and he said to me, Dave, you don't need to put this all on here. And he's already stuffed it up, Ethan. He's got 2007 CA membership. That was fun, but it's the fellowship that I'm really proud of. We're all proud of those accomplishments we make. That's why you can't say that's my fellowship is just stuck up in the middle of the wall, even though I'm really disappointed with chartered accountants at the moment. I've been around for a long time. I founded the Virtual CFO Association. You might have heard of my podcast, From the Trenches, Real Life in the Accounting Industry. I was part of the World Congress of Accountants, and I'm the CEO of Change GPS, where I work with my very good friend, Timothy Munro, to make accounting client friendly.
Tim, over to you, mate.
Thanks, Ethan. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here today. We're really looking forward to this event. very excited about it. Look, I started my accounting business back in 1990 when I was 19. So all the accountants pulling out their calculators, working my age now. That's great. We've loved using software to help make the lives of our clients, the mums and dads of Australia, better off. So we've been passionate Xero users and supporters. We won Xero Partner of the Year in 2015. I joined the IPA as a board member a couple of years ago. And that was a fun, interesting experience. Made a lot of friends. 2021, we're AFR top 100 accounting firm and currently board member of SPEPA, which is the Succession, Asset Protection and Estate Planning Advisors Association. Massive area in the future. Again, that's subject for another web event that we can do, but really looking forward to talking about tax planning today and hearing how Beck's been doing as well. She's got an amazing business.
Thanks, Tim. Beck, over to you.
Thank you. I am an accountant. I haven't been doing it as long as Tim. I think I was in year 5 when you started your business, Tim, but I have been doing it for about 20 years myself. I'm a CA, I'm a tax agent. I also left the industry for a bit and became a registered vocational trainer. So I can teach people and they can get qualifications, which is something people don't know. Huge advocate, not just for our industry, but for also the women's place in our industry, which has been changing and redefining over particularly the last couple of years. I currently have 2 major roles. I head up the Sydney operations of Business Depot, and I am the head of accounting at Ignition. And apparently I'm a thought leader because I won a fancy award for it last year, which is really exciting.
You are absolutely a thought leader, Beck. Thanks to all of you. You guys are 3 of my role models, so it's pretty exciting to be joined here today with you. Tim, I was born in the 90s, so I don't know if that makes you feel old, but it makes me feel young.
Look, I feel very young at heart. I love doing this, keeps me young, so yeah.
Multi-generational accounting, I love it. Dave, over to you. For those who haven't heard of Change GPS, we're going to give a little bit of a background on both GPS and Ignition today for the newbies on the webinar. Over to you. What do you guys do? What are you all about? Give us the rundown.
Change GPS is software for practice management and compliance advisory. We help make accounting client friendly, and we do it by giving you all the growth, profit, and systems you need to be able to do it. Our main product is Change GPS Core Pro. It's a practice in a box. 500 templates, tools, resources, systems. You know what the most popular system is? How to lodge a tax return for businesses and individuals, and how to standardize your year-end work papers. It's the basic, it's the core, but then it goes all the way beyond that to fantastic advice reports to automate your advice and give your clients a really special and unique experience. We're going to make you look like the big guys. We also have a progress report, which is our year-end report. It's going to make you look awesome in your accounting meetings. And right now, super popular, tax planning. Our tax plan app has 65 pre-written strategies in it, produces this awesome report that quantifies the value you make for your client, so they're never ever going to dispute your $1,500 fee for charging for tax advice. And we have a belief system at Change GPS, Tim.
100%, Dave. Number one, we believe that accountants don't make the money they should. You should all be making a lot more money. And so having great systems, standardizing things across your entire business, and using our Vpp method, which you'll see today, will help you to really monetize your service well. Secondly, we really believe your clients should love you more. The reason our clients don't appreciate what we do is that we don't explain to our clients well enough what we've actually done for them. A lot of accountants think, oh, clients don't want to be bothered. Let's just do the work and not tell them. Wrong. You need to tell them what you've done. We need to educate our clients. So the reports we have in Change GPS even make small firms look like you're a large firm, gives you that professionalism. And thirdly, you've got to get your work done faster. We're so busy. So if you could do an FBT pack for your client in less than 5 minutes, 10 tax planning in 10 to 15 minutes, structure advice, a year-end summary, in reports fully branded that make you look great, then you can get on to other things that might be advisory, lifestyle accounting, whatever it might be. So these are the 3 key pillars in which Change GPS is built on.
Thank you, Tim. We are so aligned on all of that. And so for those of you who haven't heard of Ignition, it wouldn't be too many of you by now, I would hope. Our mission is to transform the way you do business with your clients by putting you on the same page as them from the start. So we're founded back in 2013. We have over 5,000 firms that are using us all over the globe now, which is great, and really excited to be facilitating this conversation today. We're going to share a little bit about how the amazing content from Change GPS can actually work within Ignition as well, which is super exciting. Awesome. So Ignition, we basically help you engage and retain your clients seamlessly, easily stay compliant with all your guidance surrounding client engagements, eliminate scope creep, and help you to set expectations and then getting paid on your terms. And Beck's going to share exactly how this works in her practice through the webinar today. We know the process that you've been going through to engage your clients is messy. Generally speaking, you're doing Word docs, you're doing PDFs, follow-up phone calls and the like. We have systemized this down to 4 easy steps: building out an online proposal, getting the payment terms agreed to, automating the AR and the invoicing, and then running your business on autopilot with your workflows. Super simple stuff. And we're going to share more about how it works today. Okay, over to you guys. So a framework for advice. Share a little bit more, I guess, on your approach to, or your hypothesis here, as you've called it, on your broad observations of accountants, Tim.
Well, look, without wanting to offend any accountants, in general, accountants are great at maths, but they're not so good at the English. The example for this is if you've got to do an advice report on CGT or something, we can do all the calcs, but to sit down and actually write something, accountants generally struggle. It's really hard to communicate that. Now, what we've done at Change GPS is, in the next slide, we've developed a framework for advice, because I was frustrated in my accounting firm that we weren't getting our advice out fast enough or making enough money on it. So we started creating many years ago a way of delivering advice and connecting to our clients the value that we can create for them. So the key is that we need to educate our clients about what we can do for them, and especially focus on the value of those services. Because if we're going to be charging up front, and obviously if you're using Ignition, get those proposals out, get paid up front, you can't charge up front unless the client understands what they're paying you for. So educate them, engage them, and then deliver that work. So on the next slide, what we've got here is, we believe when we're explaining our upfront prices, we need to explain the value first of all. We're going to be talking about VPP, and that stands for Value Plan Price. And I promise you, if you use this process to explain your value to your clients of any project or year-end work, anything you do in your accounting practice, 99.9% of the time, your clients will accept whatever price you put. That's a big call, but it absolutely does work. You'll see these emails a little bit later on. So value is one or a combination of, for a client, number 1, an increase in profits, or 2, reduction in tax, 3, an increase in wealth, 4, to be time back from your family, for your family or personally, and 5th, peace of mind or less stress. So one or a combination of those is the value. So for tax planning, it's reduction in tax. But it might also be peace of mind that things are done right, so the ATO is not going to put you in jail. So that's what the value is. So on the next page, really, Dave, how do we communicate value to our clients? That's the key for accountants, because if we're not as good at English as we are at maths, how do we explain that? And that's what we've developed in Change GPS.
The 5 points you just ran through, Tim, are really important, because we've all sat in some sort of conference or webinar, received an email that talks about value pricing. And it sounds like a great theory, and it is a great theory, and it started as a theory. It's this big, chunky academic book that a very famous man wrote. But actually being able to find the words to talk out what value is for clients really matters. So how do you communicate the value? Well, sorry, guys, nobody likes this word. It's marketing. But in the accounting world, marketing doesn't really make sense. It feels dirty. It feels like something we don't really want to do. But what great marketing is, like the best marketing, it's education. It's creating awareness through education so that a smart person who receives it learns something, can see where it fits in their world, and can work out, well, hey, that's actually something I want to get in my life, or that solves a problem for me. And accountants do both. Accountants do both. You make life easy for clients. You solve a problem by keeping them compliant, giving them peace of mind, and you're able to help them get to a better place. You help them live their best life. So how do you communicate it? Well, there's actually a system that we've built, and Tim built it, and I've been using it for 2 years and use it really well. And the firms that use it have tremendous success. And a bit of a heads up, we're actually going to run through it today, Ethan, aren't we?
I think we are. Before we do that, mate, I want to throw the question to Beck as well. What does this question mean to you, Beck? How do you communicate value to your clients? And you're on mute.
I am on mute. I knew that. Thanks. I've done this a few times, Ethan. Communicating value to your clients is really different to everybody. And it's about actually understanding what your clients themselves value, which is what Tim was touching on before. What matters to them and how do we solve their problems, and educating them and showing them we know what we're doing. Accountants know their stuff. Boy, do we know it inside and out. And I love talking to accountants when they have that moment where they're surprised that they actually know their stuff. They've just realized it themselves, and educating that in a consistent, clear way to your clients. It's in the way they talk, so they understand what you're on about. And that's what's great about the VPP system that the boys are about to go through.
Awesome. All right, let's hit it. Tim, Dave, whoever's taking this, run us through the VPP method.
Okay, well, if you ring up a client or email a client, so I'm going to do some tax planning for you, it's going to be $1,000 plus GST. What does the client say? I'll think about it. I'll come back to you. See, we haven't framed it. We haven't positioned it. So the VPP method is number one for any piece of work. You clearly explain the value to your client. Secondly, you explain the plan, what you need to do. In other words, what work you need to do. You explain the pain that you are going through as an accountant, so your client doesn't have to. And thirdly, you then explain the price. And the price is only a small amount compared to the value and the work that the client sees you have to do. So on the next page, what we've got is an example of, in Change GPS, one of the master template emails. We've got many emails pre-written for structuring, for tax planning, for whole trust distribution resolutions. But here's the generic one. And we can see here, we'd send it to a client. Hi, client, I refer to our discussion about this. This email is to explain in detail the way that you'll be better off with our recommendations. So short and sharp. One, value to you. We'll put it in there, by doing tax planning now, we're going to hopefully save you $10,000 in tax. The plan, we need to review your estimated income to the end of March, project it out to the end of June, calculate how much tax we estimate you're going to have to pay, and then look at some strategies to help you save it. All up, it'll be 1.5 days work. You always put how many days worth of work there, because the clients like to see you working hard for the money they give you. And
Tim,
then we go into the price.
Tim, doesn't talking about days undermine this concept of value pricing? Becca, do you do that as well? Like, we talk about value pricing, which is we're just supposed to focus on the outcome that the client gets. But the reality is that an accounting practice is input run. You pay your staff for hours worked, job takes hours. That's the consumable part. Beck, how do you handle that?
I'm still okay to talk about how long things take, because that is actually part of the value that we are creating. And it doesn't matter that it's going to take a long time, or maybe we get through it quicker because we have templated processes. It's years of education and training that made us be able to do this in half an hour when it might take somebody else a day. So it's okay to talk about time still if you're not pricing at time. These things don't need to work together. They can still be quite separate.
So at the end there, we always finish with next steps. And if that's a takeout from today, make certain that in your action line, the subject line, you always say action required, tell your client what they've got to do, and always finish every email with next steps. Tell the client what happens next. And then the next page, you can actually see the tax planning advice recommendation email. And that's it there. So we actually give you these. So instead of having to write them and come up with them yourselves, you just use them exactly like we've pre-written them. Yes, you can tweak whatever you want, but we've given you the content there to make it so easy to roll out tax planning to all of your clients.
I just want to deep dive on a couple of things that are on this slide here. And I really want to focus on the plan part of value, plan, price. I'm not sure why Ethan's giving me this big smile. I imagine I'm missing something that I need to know about. This is when you first work with people for the first time, send me a text message, Ethan. Let's work out what's going on. The bit that I want to focus on is the plan part, right? Because this is the bit that I reckon is most skipped over. The plan, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dot points as part of our plan for tax planning. Traditionally, in the way an accountant would traditionally talk to a client is that this happens over the phone. Yeah, look, I just reckon you should chuck some money into super this year, and you've got a bit of extra cash. We can talk about doing a bucket company. We're going to defer some of that income that you want, and you need to buy a car. There's some instant asset stuff that we've got flying around. This stuff goes over the phone call. It's very, very hard for a client to understand just how much you've considered mentally when that happens on a phone call. When you actually tease out the amount of steps you need to do and put it on a piece of paper, it looks really robust. It looks thick and heavy. It looks like you're almost justifying the hours that it takes. And a really good example of this, when we talk about the plan part of value plan price, is the common thing, the year-end tax return. The majority of engagement letters before they use practice ignition just say preparation and lodgement of income tax return and annual accounts for company 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $5,000. That's it. Client has no idea what's in scope, what's out scope. They don't have any idea what you're doing. No idea at all. But if you actually dotted out what you do to lodge that and prepare those reports, we've worked out at Change GPS, there's 17 steps. So clients are actually starting to sit there and build empathy for their accountant, the one who they belt for everything urgent when they want to buy a car or when there's an urgent deadline that they need. There's actually a lot of work. So the plan part of this is actually where I think there's significant smarts, and accountants, this is why I think you get undervalued so much. Clients don't realize how hard it is. They think you're just filling out a form sometimes. And the only person responsible for fixing that, unfortunately, is you, the practice owner.
So Dave,
Absolutely.
we used to, sorry, Beck,
Sorry,
you go.
I might actually dial back here a little bit, guys, because we've dived into how you're going to communicate your value to your clients. But Ethan, if you can move back to the slide just before this, I want to talk a little bit about how you can actually communicate to your clients to get in front of them in the first place. Because the reality is we're all a little bit time poor. And Tim, you made some amazing comments about educating our clients as well. So to warm your clients up, particularly if this is the first time you've ever done something like this, they might be taken aback. They've gotten a phone call from you, you're trying to sell them something. Let's put some education in front of them as well. And this communicating at scale, one-to-many communication, is an amazing way to do that without a heavy lift. It's what we do at Business Depot. We've been doing it for years, and we do it really, really well. So whether or not it's webinars like what we're on today, blogs, EDMs, sending out information to our clients en masse to get them used to the fact that we know what we're talking about. Set out some of that stuff, dive in, give them the information around why tax planning is so important, but do it in a way that means that you've still got enough time to deliver this amazing service. And this communicating at scale, if you use the right tools, you're able to get the information back and be really smart about who's actually opened your emails, who's reading, who's engaging, who are your warm leads. This is how everybody who's not an accountant runs a business. So let's do what they all do and run our businesses like real businesses.
Big words, Beck, big words.
That's great, Beck. Empathy, Dave. I don't know what this empathy thing is that you speak of, but I want to hear more about it for your accountant.
I'm reading a book. I think that's how you learn about it.
Brilliant. We're going to move on to pricing, payments, and engagements. This is Beck's wheelhouse. We've done a lot of content on this over the last couple of years. We believe it is fundamental to setting expectations with clients, and it underpins this entire strategy that we're talking about today. And so, Beck, over to you. You put in a slide here on fixed fee billing. Keen to get your thoughts on how this plays into the whole tax planning conversation and also just the billing conversation in general.
Well, it's completely vital to what it is we're talking about. It's a fundamental part of the VPP system is fixed fee billing, because you're going to talk to your clients around how long things take you to do, but putting a firm price on it. You're not charging an hourly rate. So fixed fee billing, it's when you actually talk to your clients upfront about how much you're going to charge. Get their agreement upfront. Know that they're on board before you waste all of your time. Now, this is just an agreement upfront. You know, who wants to waste time doing a tax plan and not get paid? Nobody. I know I don't. Even if it's easy, I still don't want to waste my time. So there's different types of fixed fee billing, but it's all about the agreement upfront. You can get the agreement and you can invoice them before you do the work. You can invoice them on completion. You can invoice them a little bit every single month. It's all about the agreement up front and making sure that they sign off before your work is even started, let alone completed.
We're so busy, aren't we? We just got to get paid for this. Yep.
I laughed out loud at you were sending out the engagement before you confirmed they wanted it. Like it's almost like those emails, your remittance is attached. for something that you don't know that you're getting and you don't know that you've bought. You got to be careful you don't do that.
No, that's right. So I'm not talking about sending out an engagement, but talking about the price, and your engagement should always include the fee. And I know I get a lot of pushback when I start talking about moving to fixed fee billing for accountants who've never done it. And I'm sure you guys do, where they're coming into this and they're like, oh no, we always bill on an hourly rate. And we've talked about that this morning, Tim. We've talked about time billing or talking to our clients about time. But if we tell a client, or if we're doing work on a job and say we spend 10 hours when we only thought it was going to be 5, we know our clients are probably only going to pay 5 for that job because it's all they've ever paid. We're going to write that time off anyway. So there's already this perceived value. There's already a perceived fixed fee. We just haven't communicated it or formalized it. And then on the flip side, if I do a tax plan this year, and last year it took me 6 hours per client, but this year because I use Change GPS, it takes 2 hours, you can guarantee I'm charging the same amount I did last year.
Can we put that on the slide for the next one that we do? Beck saved 4 hours with tax plan using Change GPS. Can I just respond? Beck, can I just respond to a question from Philip Stock? How do we get the client to do the tax plan? Because Beck's touched on it. I'm interrupting the flow. It's not on the slides, but I just want to respond to Philip. It's not just about that one email that you send out. Education can take time. We've got in Change GPS, we've got 4 educational emails and then the VPP email, which is the offer at the end of the whole process. So clients are kind of going on a journey. Okay, so I can put money into super. I understand why I need to do that. I can distribute a bit smarter. I get why I need to do that. Oh, okay, I've got to do trust distribution minutes by 30 June. I get it. You take them along this journey and slowly, they come to their own realization that they need it. And then you get to avoid the selling part, which accountants just should never do, and you don't need to do it. Clients, you create demand in your clients to pick up the phone and call you and say, yes, I want this.
And one thing I'm doing, Dave and Beck, which we haven't done in the past, I'm actually about to record a couple of videos today. One as a tax planning link in Zoom to go to every one of our clients, where our accountants are sending out the emails now to book in for meetings. Just me as a director of our business explaining how important it is, even if it's not to come up with strategies, but just to let a client know how much tax they're going to have to pay in the next 18 months and when. That's tax planning. It's planning to pay tax. So big tip for everyone, record a short video and send it out to all of your clients with the link at the top of your emails explaining tax planning. And do the same for FBT.
You can embed those videos inside Ignition, just saying.
Whoa, there you go, man.
Yeah, perfect. Hey, we're responding to all the questions we're getting. So if you've got questions, jump in the chat. Oh, this is very, very interactive. Malcolm Harris has asked, are doing timesheets outdated when fully fixed fees? My take has always been, I've never met a manufacturer who doesn't know how much money he makes per centimetre on his production line. Beck and Tim, what do you think? Because Tim, you've had a bit of a change of heart, which I know.
We banned timesheets a number of years ago. We use Carbon. We have got our accounting team back into using timesheets, not to charge, but so because everyone working from home, we've got cross people working on jobs. We just found that we had too much stuff blow out, and you're not aware of that unless you're actually looking at how long it takes. So we're only doing it 15-minute increments. It doesn't take too long. It takes 2 minutes to put them in, and we're able to look at our also capacity planning. So I think it's really important to do.
Yeah, I agree. We did the same thing. We left because I didn't want to do them anymore. And then we came back to timesheets, and we did it because I hired a very junior team as well. I need to know where they're struggling, and timesheets are a great identifier of where your team is not maybe across everything they need to be across.
It was like this cool thing that everyone used a few years ago to try to attract talent, no timesheets. And now it's a different lever. The employer branding is a bit different. It's like, hey, work flexible hours and live your life. Yeah, you got to do timesheets, but you get to drop your kids off and pick them up at the end of the day. So I think there's been this shift in the employment market.
Absolutely. Now, you guys have done something brave. Let's get back on track. You guys have done something that we have never been brave enough to do. You've given baseline prices for tax planning for each of these different clients. Talk us through why you've done this and what was the thinking behind it.
I want to quote a Tim line here. Tim, when some people might remember when JobKeeper first announced with this big webinar, and Tim came up with this line that said, most people aim at nothing and hit it with alarming accuracy. And I think it's true with everything. So don't look at these prices and say, I have to do this. my client's never going to pay this and be filled with anxiety and dread. This is something to aim for. Some of your clients are going to do it, some aren't. This is taken from what Tim actually charges and the feedback we get from the sort of couple thousand accountants who's changed GPS. But Tim, how did you come up with this to begin with?
Look, very simply, if you've got an accountant, say at a target rate of $250 an hour, and obviously you work out your target rates, because if you've got an accountant, you're paying them, 75 grand a year, 3 times that is what they should be aiming for getting in, divide that by 10 months, and you get your roughly per month what an accountant should be bringing in. So if you work out 70%, 80% productivity over, say, 20 working days, you can work out what your target rates might be. So say if it takes 2 hours for a small individual client to do some tax planning, that's $500. For larger businesses, and we've had some with 40 or 50 different group client entities, that's a lot larger, might be 5 to 10 grand for that, because there's so much involved. But for larger businesses, 2.5 grand, medium businesses, 1,000 to 1,500, these are reasonable amounts to charge. And we've also got their tax flow plan. So one of the things in tax plan we've got is, if you work out a repayment plan with the ATO, you can go in a tax plan, and then it will automatically calculate the next 18 months of tax payments, including the ATO's repayment plan. And you charge $350 for that. So you're actually monetising something that most accountants just do and don't charge for.
Absolutely. Look, the question that we get all the time is, what if we quote the wrong amount? Beck, I know you've written a whole book on this. So what are your solutions? And there's been a question come through from Graham on the exact same thing. How do we handle out of scope work?
I saw that question come through. It's like, we know we get this question because it's the biggest fear that accountants have, is they're going to leave something on the table if they move from time billing to fixed fee. Well, that's all around having a good engagement strategy. So a great, robust engagement will include clauses and methods for you to make fee engagements. It means you can make a change if something comes up. If there is an out of scope item, then you can have either an additional engagement or adjustment to your existing one. But the key thing is giving yourself room to make that variation, and we can all do that. And it's also about getting sign off before you move forward. And that is an awesome time to actually start talking about our obligations, Ethan. So I just rattle this stuff off now. I've done it so many times. But while we're talking about pricing and getting our clients engaged for new services, let's not forget that part of this is also around staying compliant and protecting our own businesses. And our obligations as accountants will vary depending on our registrations. But if you're either a CA, a CPA, or an IPA, and you have to comply with APESB, then we need to be looking at APS 305 terms of engagement. And for tax agents and BAS agents, TBB PN 32019. Now, this is my favorite one, which is totally dorky. I know that, but it is plain English. It sets out super clear what needs to go in your engagement. There is no way to misconstrue the information in that practice note. So if you are a tax agent, look at that. It does not conflict with our other pieces of advice from CA, CPA, IPA. It doesn't conflict in any way with their standard templates. If you have specific registrations, and you might need to look at ASA 210 if you're an auditor, 225 for valuation services, and 220 for taxation services. For 225 and 220, and particularly 220, most of that also aligns with what's in TPB. So again, just make sure you're following the standard, and even better, Ignition has all of this preloaded into the software depending on your registrations.
But Beck, none of these.
And just putting aside. No, you go, Dave. After you.
Beck, none of these regulations actually say you have to re-engage your clients every single year.
No, so they do not. But they suggest
why would you?
that they. Why would you? Well, why wouldn't you? Why do you want to have outdated
Put your prices up.
Come
to
on,
put the prices up.
For you, that one, you should have hit that one straight over the net. Tim hit it.
And additional services, not just pricing.
We say to our
putting
clients all
aside
the
David
time.
Tim's opinion on the industry bodies, we've heard firsthand from the CAs and the CPAs, like there has been a huge rise in PII claims, and there's been the vast majority of them are not compliant with 305. We've heard that in the last few months. The CAs have done a full quality review, and that was one of the huge risks that they highlighted. There's a huge non-compliance with that standard. What's that, Dave?
We heard that from the IPA. We offered to help them solve it for free, and they went in another direction. So I'm not sure what's happened with that one with the IPA. the reason why you should re-engage every year, the question that we got about how do you change out of scope for things like Section 100A, if you don't change your engagement letter every year, the client will always assume that it doesn't matter what changes in the tax world, that feed covers it. Because all you say on that engagement letter is preparation and lodgement of the tax return. They don't know. They have no idea that tax changes as much as it does. In fact, so first of all, you have to train your client. Everything that Beck and Tim and Ethan just went through is completely irrelevant if you don't have the confidence to just say something to your client and put a full stop at the end of it and don't qualify it with anything else. I need to review changes to your trust distributions because of potential retroactive changes under this new rule for Section 100A. It's probably going to take me an extra 3-4 hours. I don't know if you're going to have an issue. It's going to cost you $1,500 for me just to work out if you do have this issue. If you do, you'll have substantial penalties and I need to fix it. Now, when you're getting the recording, so there you go, you can copy that. If you're a Change GPS member, there's an email that you can send out to clients which talks specifically about the Section 100A out of scope. So it's fundamentally a communication challenge, and then it's the discipline that you have to be confident and not be the price taker from the client. Be the professional advisor that you're trained to be.
Absolutely.
We'll keep it moving, hey? Beck.
Yeah.
Robust engagement strategy. I mean, over to you.
Dave touched on some of this as well, and we have gone through it a bit, so I'm going to speed through it. Your engagement strategy is about putting as much information as possible. So Dave talked about engagements that are just, here's your, preparation of accounts and tax returns, and that's it. And there's no real scope in that, and there's no parameters. So a good engagement has parameters. You're clearly articulating all of the services in detail, how much you're charging for them, have a dispute resolution. This getting sign off at the beginning will actually stop most of the disputes you have with your clients, because you're going to know when you're providing what services to who and for how much. And they're the bulk problems that we have with our clients, aren't they? So getting that out of the way up front means no wasted time. Your engagements need to also include who is responsible for what and when, not just us, because our clients have duties here as well. They need to get us information at a certain point in time, and that should be in our engagements, because if they don't deliver, then how can we be expected to? And I also suggest being really clear about items that are not included if there is a chance of a client misconstruing your engagement letter. If it's happened before, put it in your engagement letter for next time that this is definitely not included. We do not audit. We are not going to review every single line of your BAS report to see if you claim GST on bank fees. We are not going to do these things. Put that in your engagement letter if you need to. And then
Absolutely.
I talked about pricing as well.
Before we go into that, the pricing, Beck, I just wanted to hit Tim with this question. Is this something you guys do at Change? And I've heard from Beck firsthand, this process where you've had these old clients, you've worked with them for 10 years. How do you move across and now send them something that includes all this stuff? How did you guys go at Change with this transitional period? Did you find any backlash from clients? How did you tackle those conversations?
Look, you always get some backlash from some clients, but at the end of the day, you don't just do things in case you're going to upset your clients. I'm running a business my way. It's my business. And so I've got one way of doing things, and I want to make certain that clients are aware up front of the price, what's included and what isn't. So it's just having the strength to be able to say, listen, we know that you prefer to know before we start work what the price is going to be. We get that. So we're going to start doing it from this year onwards. And by the way, just like if a builder does some work on your house and you've got a contract, there's always a variation. And if we find something when we're doing your accounts that we think can improve your position or keep you out of jail, we'll let you know. There'll be an extra price for that, but you'll be happy that you found it. And we've actually got those clauses in the Change GPS templates that you can put in Ignition, and they work. And it's all up to whoever's talking to the client to actually use that, explain it that way. It's the variation, the builder does, or when you drop your car in to get service, you get the phone call at 11 o'clock. Guess what, Ethan? Hole in the muff, it's going to be $500, but you need it fixed. Of course, it happens in every industry. Why are accountants so scared to lay down the laws to their clients? It just bamboozles me.
Ethan, now, I think the way there's a mental change that needs to happen here, because it's not about the one client who pushes back. It's about the portfolio of clients and how they perform to produce the one net profit number for you. So there will be clients that push back, as Tim said, they always happen. But every single Change GPS member that does this, every single one has ended up in a net better position than beforehand. And then once it's done, you get the confidence to go again. So if anyone's here from Perth, I've got a question for the Perth people here. Apparently there's this huge grant in Perth at the moment. It's like between $50,000 and $200,000, and it's a COVID relief grant. And all you needed to do is be down 2 weeks year on year at any point in the last 12 months. It's like, if you just have a summer holiday, you're going to get this grant. It seems to be huge. I don't know if anyone's from Perth. Yeah, Ben, that's correct. Oh, so Ben was telling me this. So Ben, I met Ben in Perth a couple of weeks ago. Ben, I'm going to tell you a story, mate. Is that okay? I didn't know you were here. Ben, I bumped into Ben. Ben, go for it. Great. Okay. Ben physically called all his clients and said, hey, there's $200,000 on the table for you. I don't know if you qualify. I'm going to do the work at my cost. If you do, I'm going to charge you 20% of whatever you get. One client called back and said, I thought that's cheap. I would have been happy with 25. Because Ben's got the confidence to do it. Nothing beats confident pricing. We can give you all the work papers, all the tech, all the systems. Unless you got the attitude that Ben has, you just won't get there. And you can get there because Beck and Tim and Ethan and me, we're all here to help you.
Awesome. We're going to go one step beyond that and talk about getting the payment details from your clients up front. Glad you covered that off, Dave. Didn't know Ben was here either.
Great story.
Awesome. Beck, I know you guys take payment details up front for every client. Talk us through why you did that. And I want to hear the war stories. Like any clients that you lost over this, any awkward transitional phase, give it to us.
Yeah. Yes, we lost clients, but that's okay because they weren't the clients for me, it turns out. Now, when you've moved from time billing to fixed fee billing, you've got your client agreement on signing off and you've agreed on the price. So why can't you take control of the payments as well? So if you've got an engagement, you've decided that you're going to charge $3,000 for something, you prepare that work, you finish that work, you give it to your client, your invoice says 7 days, and then they don't pay you for 3 months. Or what about our industry standard terms, standard debtor days at the moment, like 55 days, but we're paying out costs. If you've already had agreement, why can't you take control of payments as well? And when we go through this process with our clients, we eased into it. And like any change you make, it's about communication. And Tim went through that great before as well. We told them we were making the changes. We were honest with them. We gave them, we created that accountant empathy. This is why we're doing it. We have had too many years of people not paying us. We deliver a valuable service. You're agreeing on the price, we're taking payment details. And the clients are left, they're fine. They were not good payers anyway, so it's not a problem. And now everybody pays us up front, with the exception of a couple of charities because their constitution doesn't allow them. And that's it. Everybody else pays on time because we take control of that, whether it's monthly reoccurring or bill on completion. And this also plays into what Dave was talking about with confidence. And I just want to circle around that as well, because everything we're talking about today does require confidence, but you can get that by doing things over and over again. It will build. And when you're getting templates and you're getting all the information from the guys and from Ignition, you've got that data. So you should have the confidence to talk to your clients about what we're doing.
Absolutely. If only there was a slick tool that allowed you to get those payment details up front, hey? Talking about tax planning, delivery and fulfillment of the actual service, over to you guys. This is where GPS really shines. You've got all the work papers, everything that anyone needs here on the call to do this.
Brilliant.
Over to you.
Look, just as we're getting into this, someone's asked about, do you need a trust account if you're taking client fees up front? No. You put money in trust if you ask people to put money there for a service that you're going to quote or bill in the future. Giving them a price up front using Ignition and getting the client to prepay before you do the work, that you don't need a trust account for that. They go straight to your general account. So please, that's a myth that we need to absolutely bust. Hey, Beck.
Absolutely. I haven't had a trust account in years and I have been taking payment details. And don't forget, when you use Ignition and you take payment details, that's a protection mechanism for you because you've got the payment details. You can still bill on completion and take payment at the end, but you're taking control of the day that money hits your bank account. And that's what you might be more comfortable doing if you don't want to take the physical cash up front or your clients don't want you to.
Definitely.
Tim, before you get into this is like plumbers are doing this better than accountants at the moment. And Kate Boucher, who's one of our sales reps, is on the chat. She said in the chat, you're expected to pay up front when you book beauty treatments these days.
Yeah.
Why not for accounting?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Like everyone else is doing this. All right, let's go, Tim.
So tax planning is two key things, okay? Number one, yes, it's strategies to reduce your client's tax, but it's not just coming up with all the funky strategies, how to use soup or prepayments or whatever. Tax planning can be very simple. Just informing your clients based on how much money they're making, expected to in 2022, what tax have you got payable and when? You see, so it's tax planning to pay tax, but also planning strategies how to reduce tax. And that's really important. So on the next slide, we'll see, we're not going to go into our software deep dive, but it just shows you what the software looks like. And Dave, it's set out like a spreadsheet because accountants love spreadsheets and it's so easy to use, isn't it?
When we demo this, you have these penny drop moments when accountants see it because it looks like Excel. The only difference is it's auto updated every year, so you don't have to worry about tax. And there's been more changes to company tax schedules in the last 3 years than probably the 10 years I was actually working lodging tax returns. So all that's updated for you. You select your key information at the top, put a forward estimate of what you think the income is going to be. But the real power in this, and this is how we show value, see that little orange little tab in the middle? Unlimited scenarios. So what most people do, every accountant's got a spreadsheet. Everyone's got a spreadsheet for some sort of tax planning they do. And it ranges from, they've got a VBA coder in it. So they just open up blank every time and add up a couple of numbers. And it's technically all right. The client's usually getting a good enough outcome. But when you can run scenarios, what you do is you don't overwrite a scenario as you think of a better option. This means that the client can see how much thought you've put into it. And you can say, well, before tax planning, before me, your trusted advisor, here's how much tax you would have paid. Because I've recommended all of these things for you. And yeah, we include timing differences in this because from a client's point of view, if I don't have to pay it now, it's still a saving. And I'll have a conversation over a red wine or a whiskey with everyone over that if you want to have that conversation with me. But from the client's lens, I'm not paying tax now, therefore it's a saving. So you can do these comparisons and it's really valuable for a client. So with things like setting up a self-managed super fund, which is a major decision, you can easily show, here's your tax right now, but if we put 50 grand into an SMSF and prepay our accounting fees for setting up the SMSF, which is one of our 65 pre-written tax strategies, you can show the comparison for the client. So when you get to our reports literally say, with our recommended strategy, we've saved you $35,000 based on your base scenario. All of a sudden, $1,500 that you charged is irrelevant.
That's more. Just on the next page there, Ethan, what you'll see here is we've got 75 pre-written tax planning strategies. So you put in what your estimate income is for the year. TaxPlan Plus automatically calculates everything, as you can see there, including on the far right-hand side, your estimated tax payable for the entire group and the average tax rate. That's a very, very good number to look at. Then on the next page, what we've got, we'll just flick you through and show you some of the reports. I love this scenario report. That's the one that Dave just spoke about, because by the time you put in your scenarios, you push one button and you get branded with your logo and colors and everything, this report, which is fantastic. And you're not recommending any financial planning advice. You're actually talking about the tax effect if you make super contributions, or if you use a bucket company, or how do you distribute money from one trust to another. So it makes it so easy for you to have these conversations with your clients about what they can do to reduce their tax. On the next page.
I hope no one from the big firms are here, Tim, but see how good this report looks? This makes you look big. This makes it look like you've got somebody sitting there worrying about formatting and looks and experience, but the tech's automating it for you.
Exactly. If you negotiate a tax repayment plan for your client, that's what this report is, the tax flow plan. So it shows the next 18 months. No, it doesn't matter how big your client group is. You can have unlimited entities, individuals, and it breaks it down showing 2022 tax payable, 2023 PAYG, tax repayment plans, everything like that, which is just fantastic. And you charge for this. Then the next one shows what the tax planning report looks like. I'll let Dave take through that one.
I mean, this is the big one, right? This report's 28 pages long. Now, we had that slide at the start, accountants aren't great at English. I'll tell you what, very few people can write this stuff because it's written in plain English. So you get a great cover letter, looks professional, your logo's where the Change GPS logo's on there. And then straight away, page 1, chart that clearly shows, here's your assessable income before me, here's your assessable income after me. The client experience is they're sitting in this meeting, you've got this up on your Zoom screen normally, or if they're in the office, you put it up on the screen or you're sharing something like that. The client's mindset straight away looking, hang on, I'm down on my tax. So straight away, the client's happy. And this is such a big change because these conversations used to be, hey, I've done tax planning for you. You now need to pay $150,000 next Wednesday. And it doesn't matter how much, it could have been 400 before you. All the client heard was, I've got to spend 150 grand. So what we're doing here is getting the client to say, okay, I'm already in a good space here. I'm already ahead. And then we go into our recommendations. Now, the recommendations are written in plain English. There's 65 of them. We don't quote legislation. We don't quote cases because clients don't understand it. I mean, there are some clients that little bar chart there goes over their head. So showing them legislation isn't going to be the right answer for them anyway. But what the recommendations do, there's 3 main things, and I can think of 2, so I'm going to come up with a 3rd one while I'm talking. The first thing that it does is it gives the client a specific piece of advice. It looks valuable. I can pick it up. It's heavy. It's physical. I can feel like I paid for something, which I can't get on a 3-minute phone call. The second thing it does is it massively de-risks your practice because this advice is signed off. We actually work with a mid-tier accounting firm that signs off that this stuff's accurate internally for us. So we audit ourselves on this stuff to make sure it's up to date and accurate, which is a huge move for us. It's not just coming out of Tim's brain anymore. We're very proud of it that we've been able to do that as we've been growing. So it de-risks you because you've got standard stuff that's down there, but then it de-risks you against the client pointing the finger and saying, you never told me. And we've all got those, the clients that call up the first week of July saying, oh, my mate put 50 grand in the super. Why didn't you tell me? You've now got the ultimate response to that. So the report goes through, I don't know if we've got another slide on what the report has, Tim, but we list out all those recommendations. And then the big challenge, right? Everyone jump in the chat. I'm going to ask an open question. How often do you sit in these webinars or you go to conferences and you love everything that Beck says when she's on stage or Tim says when she's on stage, but while you're in that webinar, your emails are popping up with clients asking you to do things and you just get scared. I'm never going to have the time to do this. I just don't know how to do it. Tell me in the chat, does this happen? Because it used to happen to me. That's my lived experience of this. So what we do in Change GPS is a whole system that runs end to end, how to engage all of your staff, all of your team, your client service coordinators, your accountants, the 20 odd documents we've got to support this in Change GPS to be able to take it. I'm going to throw to Beck because I know Beck's a GPS member and she used TaxPlan a little bit ad hoc last year, but Beck, this year you've got a system that you've told your staff and you're rolling it out to all your clients. How's it going?
We've actually blocked out big chunks of time just to sit down and go bang, bang, bang and get them all out because this actually allows us to do that. We're able to put the data in a really streamlined fashion at different levels of the organization. It doesn't require me as a partner to sit there and go through my clients' accounts and write up a letter of recommendation. That some of the foundational pieces here can be done by junior members of my team and then moved up through the process with the final partner sign off. It's brilliant.
This is what happens in Change Accountants and Advisors. So everything we do, we road test first and Change GPS, and then it gets rolled out to the members. So Beck does it. Beck gives me feedback. Ben Duthie does it. He's a member. We'll give feedback and it goes through and we change. The other challenge that we have with tax planning is like a season, right? It's like now up to, if you're doing it the last week of June, I'm sorry, you're going to have a really rough June. You need to be a little bit more organized than that. There's no way to sugarcoat that, but there's so many other ways that you can use advice areas that you can change the way you work to charge clients for things that you might be giving away for free. So we've got a list of the 8 different ways there. And I like to say, avoid the quick tax chat. The client calls up. Yeah, the dog's going. Yeah, too many injuries. Yeah. At the moment, that's all I get from my friends telling me how bad my dogs are going. The Western Bulldogs, that is. And then it's, oh yeah, by the way, thinking about buying a car. Just buy it in the company, you reckon? And then you have this conversation, it disappears. It just disappears. It's completely unbillable. Happens all the time. So in Change GPS, we say, well, don't do that. Here's the conversation. We give you conversation scripts. Turn that into a structured engagement Tell the client you're going to send them an engagement letter, and you can use it doing these ways with Change GPS. You've got the full system there that shows how everyone in your team can get trained up to do it.
So as Dave said, we want to know, how do we bring all this together? How can you do it? We're in middle of May. We've got June coming up pretty quickly, 6 weeks away. How can you do it? Well, within Change GPS, what we put together is an email, which we'll show you in a moment, which brings all this together. So first of all, in April, we explain to our clients we need to do tax planning. So then in June, we can do our trust distribution resolutions before the end of June. But hot tip, ATO is massively looking at this, everyone. Don't do what the lazy accountant does and do them when you do year-end financial 6 months later. That does not cut it. So trust distribution resolutions, you need to do tax planning first. Then July, we send all of our clients a tax flow plan showing them the next 18 months worth of tax payments. In April, with FBT, we send out the FBT questionnaires. May, we do them. And we've got the whole FBT module to help do that. You need that information so you can include reportable fringe benefits in your STP finalisation on the 14th of July or beforehand. So on the next slide, you'll see here, we've put together an email called your year-end game plan. And that brings all of this together. You've only got one of the pages there. You need to subscribe to Change GPS to get the full one, but you'll see that that's how we explain it to clients. We make it visual. And then as Philip said, look, there's a lot in here. We actually send the email out, then we briefly ring the client, or we send a video to the client where we just explain the email. But your clients need to understand what's involved in running a business. You need to do this, and then this, and then this. You need these things in this order. Otherwise, you don't get the right outcome.
Beck, Philip Stocks asked a question. Tax plan looks comprehensive. Do clients actually read all this stuff?
They might not read all the words, but what they do is they look at the tables, they look at the comparisons, and they look at that important stuff. And it all depends on different clients. So I have clients who will drill down and read every single sentence. And then I have those who just want, just show me the highlights. But this is beautiful because it does both. It talks to both kinds of my clients. And the best thing is if they don't read it and they complain, you still delivered it. So you can come back and be like, yeah, but I did tell you.
We're going to skip, if that's okay, guys, to the next slide, because we get a ton of questions around this. Introducing new services to your clients. You've said tax planning is a great way to do this. How do we manage that when everyone's full to the brim, no capacity? Talk us through how we can even think about new services for our clients.
Well, you need to use great software and great systems to be able to free up your time so you can do these things. You see, the thing is, we want to grow our businesses, and we've all got a limited amount of time, and we're all probably behind or just catching up on our deadlines. So what do? If you use something like Tax Plan from Change CPS, you can get your tax plans put together easily in 10 to 15 minutes, and then you can get through your clients. You can charge good money for them. That enables you to do far more in a smaller period of time. Secondly, if you use things like Ignition, well, obviously you've got your quotes out of the way up front, you get the payment up front. It's very, very systematized, very, very efficient. So it's all about getting the efficiencies in your business. And I'm going to say a third one, which might take me out a bit of a limb, and Beck probably agree with me, I'm sure here, but we're in demand accountants. We're in massive demand. We've got so much work on. I've been putting my prices up. Okay, and I've had a couple of clients leave, which is fantastic. Very happy that they did. And I'm getting more money for less work and less stress.
Absolutely. I'm doing the exact same thing, because if there was ever a time we could increase our prices, believe it or not, it is 2022. And I don't mean to be mean. I know COVID's been tough for businesses, but it's been tough for us too. High inflation, low resourcing, like what else are we supposed to do here?
Oh, I feel like I've been wound up here. Go back to university. Demand is sky high, driven by government regulation. It's regulated. It's not going anywhere. Supply has gone down. We don't have international people. We don't have the spillover coming down from the big firms. We're all hiring. We can't get it. Demand high, supply down. Open your university level 1 macro and microeconomic textbooks. What happens? Price up. You literally have economic permission to put your prices up right now.
100%. So look, on the next slide, and we can skip through these, everyone will get to the slides, but these are the key tax planning issues. That these are things we need to talk to our clients about. So they're the key ones. We've listed them out for you there. On the next two screens, we've got some of the Section 100A sort of things that we need to think about and talk about. Now, we put our submission in. I don't think it's going to be as bad as possibly we've initially thought, but for some of our clients, it is going to affect us. So don't apologise for changes in tax law to your client. It's point 6 on the next slide. You need to use something like tax plan to explain how much tax your clients have to pay. You might be able to give as much to adult kids as you have in the past, but don't feel bad. Take the bull by the horns and say, listen, clients, the government changes the laws all the time. We're keeping you on top of what you need to know and on top of planning for this tax. Now, hopefully we'll get a good outcome with Section 100A coming up, but we need to explain to our clients we might be able to smash out 180 to kids and get them gifted back or do whatever you've done in the past. So we've got a couple of slides there for client strategies to help you have these conversations with your clients.
Awesome. We're going to kick into actually getting engaged, and this is where we're bringing it all together. So the amazing thing about all those services that Tim's just run through is that you can build this into your ignition proposal so that it's templated there and ready to go. This is something that Beck has done. You can pull in all of the change GPS service descriptions and the terms into the ignition platform so that you can get a proposal out to a client and get sign off in a couple of minutes. Beck, I'm pretty sure you do that. You do that, right?
Absolutely, we do that. And sometimes we get a little bit sneaky. We actually use options here and we give our clients the options to take our price or to actually decline the service and put that in writing so that when they come back and say, hey, you didn't do this, well, you declined.
Awesome. And the brilliant thing here is that you can get super explicit in your proposal through Ignition as to exactly what's going to be included in each of those services and exactly what you're charging for. You can show as little or as much detail as you like in the proposal with regard to the prices for each line there, or you can just show a total price. All of this, so what I'm showing you now is actually the Change GPS example template for tax planning and tax admin assistance. If you're a member, you can obviously get this for all of the services that are available. And we're happy to send that out following the webinar today. That slick tool that I mentioned earlier when we were talking about payments, guess what? Ignition allows you to put in your direct debit or credit card info in the proposal while they're agreeing to the terms after they've seen the value. So it completely eliminates that whole question. It is great. It is great. And even better, the engagement terms are actually automated as well. So you're not having to waste your time building out an engagement letter every time for your new client. It's all formatted automatically. We've got all the industry body templates in there. If you're a member of GPS, you can pull their engagement letter template into Ignition as well. It is awesome. So believe me when I say this is the first of much content we're going to do together. And you can see just the value in using both of these tools in your practice in terms of efficiency, right? Tim, I think this is awesome. You know, you've got almost tax planning in a box here, ready to go. All you have to do is do the work.
Exactly. Educate, engage, deliver, or fulfill, as Beck says. So, look, it's been wonderful to be here with you all. We've had a blast. What are the next steps, Dave? Like, if people want to contact Change GPS, how do we help them? Dave's muted. Never happens.
No, never. My wife wishes it was like click and she could just shut me up. The next steps all depend on what you want to do. You can be very, very busy, and you are busy day to day, but you still need to take that time and that responsibility to be a business owner and a partner. We're happy to talk to you and coach you and guide you. Both Change GPS, Ignition, yeah, sure, we're tech platforms, but if we don't help you actually implement the things we're talking about, you just leave us. So there's no benefit for us in doing that. At Change GPS, you will get every month, you get a check-in with a success manager. It's kind of like a mini business coach. I know Ignition has a huge team that helps you get onboarded to get some of the benefits. There's a poll up at the moment. I know you're busy. I get it. But you're not going to get any less busy unless you make some changes in the way the practice runs. And that's the responsibility of being a partner. And enjoying that responsibility and the freedom that it sometimes creates for you is often why you left the big practices and went out on your own, combined with a love for the clients. If you love your clients as much as we all do, spend a bit of time with us and learn a bit more about these products and how you can implement them in your practice. That's it, everyone. I hope you've all ticked out the form, and our teams would love to get involved and have a chat with you. Tim and I have another webinar that we're jumping onto. Ben Duthie's got to do some work before he joins us on that one. We love talking, Tim. We're very passionate about this industry and the role accountants play. to strengthen Australia.
Look, we are. And
Thanks, guys.
Ethan and Beck, thank you very much for allowing us to join you today. Looking forward to doing heaps more with you both.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. I will give you another 15 seconds to fill out that poll. We are super busy as well, guys. And if you want us to give you a call and prioritize this, fill out that poll now. Otherwise, we might not get to you. So make sure you do it. It's multiple choice. We will send out the recording and the slides and the resources. What's that, Dave?
Oh, mate, because you said we're busy too, which is true. So you want to get a call from us. But this is a line that Change GPS members tell their clients. We've got email templates that say, we're in high demand at the moment. We'd love to offer these services to you. It's on a first paid, first served basis. Accountants are actually sending that sentence out to their clients. That is what changes your life.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Sorry,
everyone.
mate,
Thanks for joining us. Great to see you.
Thanks.
We'll see you at the next webinar. Thanks, Beck. Thanks, Dave and Tim.
Bye, everybody.
Chat to you guys
Thanks,
soon.
everyone. Bye.
See ya.